I thought I'd come on today to talk about a story, not so much of what I seen today, but one that exists today. How will that be? One that doesn't have an ending at this point, but it surely will someday. When that time comes, then we'll know the rest of the story. But I'm going to tell you what it is up to the date. The one I was watching was about a small town in Missouri. And one of the creators put out there, it is a true story. It was a small town where a town bully had took over, and he had stepped on apparently everybody in that small town. And the day come for retribution, and even though the modern word for it, or even from back then, was vengeance is mine, saith the town. It happened. The man no longer breathed. There would a day come where he took his last step, his last breath. And all the things that he had done had caught up with him on that precise second of the day. And it can happen that fast. But the one we're going to talk about today really hasn't ended. There's no ending to it today. But today, the bully that exists could be on this platform. Videos can make it so that you have a hard time walking down the street. And you say, well, how can that happen? Well, it doesn't necessarily cripple you physically. But it can affect you mentally, and it can affect your reputation. And in fact, most people, they depend on this thing for friends. And along the way, they get a lot of enemies. Most of the time, those enemies are called trolls. And the trolls are extremely effective. Here's the way I'll explain it. If you're a clerk, if you have one bad person come through the line and get under your skin in some way, whether they're calling you names or whatever, it will affect you the entire day. It takes a lot of people coming through there with good humor and patting you on the back before you've forgotten this person that gave you that bad day. And it's that way on here. You could have, and this is a social media only, this is a friend on here, most of the time you've never met. You only know what's portrayed on this media, this video. That's all you know. You don't know that person. You don't know what they're capable of. The persona is whatever that person wants you to see. So the bully, when, let's say they come to town, and the town has existed for some time. And in the past, a small town had its hierarchy in there. And whether they had a good old boys club or whether everybody participated or whatever, the people kind of grew into that thing. And if an outsider come in and tried to change things, they were quickly ran off. They didn't last long in a small town because their life was made miserable. They didn't have the influence. Well, today is a whole different story. Gentlemen and ladies out there, this thing here, it brings influence. It's unreal. You can get as many as millions following what you do and affect everybody that's around you just because you have that kind of a following. It becomes a matter of you are the goat that they're following, and the sheep follow you just as if you were the shepherd. Okay? And this story I'm going to tell you about, this little town down there in Florida, that's kind of what it is. You have somebody that came from somewhere else that had the influence, and in this instance we're going to say somewhere around 750,000 people following. So when you carry that many people, that means you get a lot of likes on there. You get a big head because when you're on there, quite frankly, it seems like you're the Lord of the world. And in fact, this person likes to think that they're so famous that everybody should know them. And they'll even tell you that they wish they weren't as famous because it'd be nice to go somewhere without being noticed. Who would have guessed? But then, what happens if this person with influence has bad intentions towards you? Now, at one time in a small town, people would cling together and protect each other, and there might be a bully there that eventually would have to be taken care of in some way. But when you have money and the influence that this thing can carry, you can immediately take over control of a town of 100 people easily. There's nothing. So when you get there, you make sure everybody notices you. How do you do that? Find somebody who's not too popular and get into an argument with them. You say that might be hard? No, it's not. It don't take you over a few hours to figure out who the jerks are in town, and you just start an argument with them in some way. Get some notoriety going. Ring your bell. Let them know what you like to do. Let them know that you're the person that gives gifts. You come bearing gifts. Not the type that Fuller Brush brings where they give you a little penny gift. They have lots and lots of money. And they have a reputation for giving. They don't tell you about what they're taking in. It's just what they're giving. In this instance, it might be just a millionaire. Somebody might have more money than everybody there collectively might have together. That would give you a step up in the hierarchy of that little bird. So if you had somebody you didn't particularly care on and you decided to use your influence, you can immediately get on here and say something bad about them. Ooh, a lot of people are mad instantly. Not from that little town, but the people you brought with you. We are a mobile society now. You bring your influence wherever you go because of this thing. And you'd be surprised how often something like that happens. If you go get into a small town and you burn yourself out there, you just take the people you have on here and you move somewhere else and take it with you along with your money and your influence and all the things that you like to do. Because like I say, we're a mobile society. The story in Missouri was more about people that were there for generations. And they weren't as mobile as what we are today. They just don't have people that can come in there and bring their influence and finances with them. The carpetbagger of today brings everything with them that they need to be comfortable. Yep. So it don't matter whether they make friends there or not. They're going to have influence whether you like it or not. And then sometimes they use words like steamrolling because they know that in that little area they can steamroll any one person they want. As long as they don't take too many at a time. And as long as they pick on the least accepted people in that town. So what do? Well, here's your line. Top to bottom. So after you're there a while, the people on the bottom, you know who they are, right? So you can pick them off one at a time. Kind of like a big fish in a small pond. They feed on all the smaller fish. But guess who's going to be left? That big fish gets the biggest meal and grows the quickest, doesn't it? Someday those that follow and they're taking care of the scraps, they become the menu. Just telling you, that's the way it is. That's the way these people think. And if this town can't provide what they want, they move to the next town. And they find that lower person, and they start picking, and then they come right back up. So now we know how social media works, and the brain of this person, or persons. I guess what I would ask is, have you ever heard of the golden rule? Well, a friend of mine in business years ago had told me, he said, Ray, the golden rule is what we go by in business. He said, that's how business is run. Of course I know the golden rule. In my mind at the time, it was treat others as you want to be treated. That makes sense, don't it? He said, no, Ray, this is what the golden rule is. Those that have the gold make the rules. I thought about that for a little bit. And my goodness, he was right. That's how corporations win the battle of who's going to sell the most. It's the person with money that has the influence. So, this little town that I'm going to tell you about, you can go look for yourself. But I want to keep this in mind. To obtain the things that you want in one of those areas, you have to be intelligent, and you have to have enough charisma so that you can gather into you some of the more influential people in the area. And you get rid of somebody out here to keep, that's your fodder for keeping your machine running. Keep the drama going, because you have to have drama on here to be successful in some way, because this is nothing more than a show for other people. This right here is. It's either that or it's information. So, how do you get this thing working for you? Well, why not fight with a neighbor? Those are popular things, and your channel will grow a little bit. As soon as you start, it doesn't matter who started the battle. As long as there's a battle going, people are going to follow it, and they're going to follow one side or the other. But remember, you're this person that already has the followers. This other person has no money and no followers. They live in a small town. They live there purposely. You are the steamroller, and in fact, you'll use that. You'll say, I'm going to use it like a steamroller. And you mean every word of it, and it works very well. You get your way, and that poor person, no matter who it is the one that's flattened. And no matter what anybody else says, you prevail because of money and influence. And you had the influence because you brought it with you. It didn't happen there. It happened somewhere else. And you brought it in. And you enveloped this small town. And those that follow will reap the rewards that you want to bestow on them. So for those small amount of minions, and I mean very small amount, they're going to grow financially and influentially. And they're going to follow you right over that cliff if you so jump off from it. You know, when Jim Jones had that following, and he had him partake in the Kool-Aid, most of them took it. The ones that didn't were forced to take it. And that's what happens when you get enough minions following you that are very loyal. They will follow you off that cliff, and those that don't will be pushed off from it. So what I want to tell you is be very careful who you want to follow in today's world. This thing here, just because somebody's popular, doesn't make them right. The morals of our Lord are much more important than the laws of the land. Don't let a bully determine how, where, or what you're going to do. Don't let them determine your lifestyle. If you're happy with it, you don't have to have somebody guide you. It's good to be your own person. And that's what I would ask of you. Now, me, I don't like bullies. Never did. And I'm not sure what you're used to. But we'd like you to make aware, be aware of the existence of these people out there and how they get so far ahead in a small town in this society. And it's because it is mobile. You bring your influence and money with you no matter where you go. Beware when you come outsiders into a small town, especially bearing gifts. All right, I'm not going to say too much more. The suspense, there is none. The place I'm talking about, you go out there and look at a little town. I want to tell you something. There are people there that have talked bad about this small town. I don't want you to think that in the least. It is a normal, small town. They've had their ups and downs over the years, and like all small towns, there's not a lot of money and probably not enough to really maintain things. So things get run down a little bit. That happens. Don't judge them on what they have. Each one that lives there is there for their reasons. Some are going to get pushed out because they're not going to meet the expectations of what the bully may need. But like that list, okay, the people on the bottom, that's what they're going to feed off from. And one by one, they're going to eliminate them. And if you listen to this story, go through it, and it's a little town called Otter Creek. O-T-T-E-R. It was renamed only for the media out here. But I'm going to let you figure out what it was. And the people that are in dispute in this thing, that are being picked off this list, are given new names, surnames, if you will. And they're easily distinguished on here as you read the story. But here's what I would tell you. Everyone that has come up with this thing here, by one person making this designation, I want you to think about, what if you were in their shoes? It might be devastating. Because in the influence of this media, this platform, not mine, this one, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X. There's a number of them out there. There's social media. This is determining your life. What I'm asking you is go there with an open mind and open your eyes and listen before you determine what you think of it. Because I think you're going to get a new eye-opening experience of a bully. Social media is going to guide you through this. With that, I'm going to let you go. And the suspense can be answered very quickly by following that story. Get in there and look at it. People that have seen my channel know that I'm against certain things, and I put my opinion on here, and that's all they are, their opinion. And I don't pretend to know the exact names or pronunciation of different people. Or I think I pretty well know the intent of each out there. But then it would be unfair for me to indulge in trying to guide you, because I think you're smart enough that if you get in there and you look close, you'll understand where I come from. And yes, in this Goliath and David scenario, I would like to see David once again be able to do something that would offset it. But this David that's there, that's on the bottom of the pile, at the bottom of the line, at the bottom of this pole, whatever you want to call it, does not have the money or the influence. They lack the charisma of this person that would be the bully. They were never given that chance to be equal in any way. So the crowd is after them. The crowd would do to them, probably. Well, I'm going to let you decide that. You tell me. With that, I'm going to let you go. And I hope I got you started where you want to at least look this stuff over. There's a lot of channels that are on there that are going to make you look around. But when you put the little town of Otter Creek up there, you're going to see everybody that follows it. They will follow in there like nothing. This thing's been going on over a year. Lots of videos out there. The only thing I ask is look at them carefully. With that, goodbye. Good luck. May the Lord bless you. See you next time.